Ladies and gentlemen, it is April 1st, but this is no April Fool's. No, this is the world's premier esports DFS podcast. Of course, it is LOLz. I'm your host, Peter Overzet, joined by my co-host, Brick75, a.k.a. Big Dick Brick. How we doing, buddy?
Good, man. Good. Happy to be here.
It feels like every time we hop on this show, so much has changed in the world since the week prior.
Yeah, it does. Since our show a couple weeks ago, it feels like a couple months have passed, maybe.
Yeah, and even people were making jokes about it, just how long March felt. But I mean, think back to March 1st. I mean, we had never maybe exchanged more than like one or two DMs. We had never played. Wait a second. Yeah, just a lot has changed, I think, is what I'm trying to say. And look at us now. I mean, we are now the preeminent esports touts in all the land.
That's true. Yeah, I don't think there's really any competition at this point that I've seen.
And I feel like our community has taken a step forward. Last week we were covering the huge, scandal of Wehan, the match fixing scandal. I feel like we've kind of successfully moved our community past this.
Yeah, I haven't seen any chatter about match fixing at all, especially after last night's LNG got smashed, being a pretty heavy favorite. And I didn't see anyone tweet anything out. So maybe everyone's over it.
Yeah, there's been, I believe it was it last Saturday's slate? Was it Solo who got yanked at the last second for Viper?
Yeah, I think that's right. Mm-hmm.
That was, if I can be honest, Brian, that was a moment when I had, say 24% exposure to Solo where I was tempted to be toxic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even behind closed doors, I told you, I'm about to go toxic right now. And you said, Peter, step away from the ledge. We have built something here and we can't ruin it with one toxic tweet. And I thank you for that.
Yeah, no, you've helped me in times when I've had toxic thoughts myself about a player not performing up to expectation. And, I'm just trying to reciprocate.
I appreciate that. And Brian, I'd be remiss if you didn't mention my my incredibly new gamer setup and just how incredibly awesome and gamery it is.
Yeah, no, it's super gamery. I like it a lot. Your shirt looks dope AF.
Do you see what that says, guys?
ADA higher than my GPA.
Let me see yours and make sure the people in the back can hear you. Where my junglers at?
Yeah.
Oh, man. But Brian, the subscript on that shirt says it's all his fault. Would you say that that's a slightly toxic message for your shirt?
Yeah, it's playful amongst, teammate brethren, kind of playful banter.
That's true. It's true. I think it's a fine line, because sometimes people will try to call us hypocrites. They'll say something I said or something I did was toxic, but I think you got to read the room, and context matters in the case of toxicity. Wouldn't you agree, Brian?
Yeah, I would.
Well, we've been continuing to play League of Legends DFS around the clock. We've been playing LCS, LEC, LPL, LCK, LOL, TTYL, BRB, LMFAO. I mean, we've been playing it all. Brian, now that we continue to have more slates post-coronavirus with this influx of people playing the game, do you have an updated state of the union, a state of the esports DFS union of where we're at right now?
That is an excellent question. A bad question to ask after I got crushed last night.
Yeah.
With LNG, I was heavy on. So I still think we're in good shape for a little while here, as far as making some money. Not that that's what we're here for. So I would continue to play as normal for anyone who's been banking some cash. It is getting a little sharper. You're starting to see some more of the bigger DFS names from other sports trickle in. The prize pools are getting bigger. That's going to be why that's going to drag them in. But it's going to take them a little bit to figure out their own process too. So I wouldn't even really worry too much about them yet. But it's still pretty juicy.
And last week your phrase was stack until further notice. Have you updated that thought? I mean, when you look at lineups, we saw the lineup that shipped today. It was a 4-3 stack with two LPL teams, two underdog LPL teams with VG and was it OMG, I believe?
Yeah, or DMO.
Sorry, you're right, DMO. I continue to see 4-3s taking these down. Is that still our game plan, the stack until further notice?
Definitely on the 6-man, 5-man. I'm sorry, 6 gamers slates, the 5 gamer slates. I'm not. I wouldn't get off of that. The 2 or 3, 2 specifically, which kind of happens a decent amount since there's slates all the time in these leagues. Then I think you could look at it. Then I think you could see, an easy way to check is the difference between your projected points that much different by forcing in stacks. If it's like a amount that scares you, well, then look at a 4-2-1 or something.
Yeah. We got Josh Hornsby, my buddy Josh ADHD in the chat. He says, dig the neon, Pierre. Very apropos. Thank you. You nailed what I am going for, my man. We got Scott Woodhall in the chat. On 3-mans, I've been playing 4-2-1 with good success. Binked Attorney the other night. I've definitely seen this strategy a bit. Obviously used to playing that 4-2-1 on FanDuel where they force you to play 3 teams. Brian, what is your thought on 4-2-1s?
Yeah, I mean, but same thing I just said. On a 6-man, I still would do. You could definitely bank with a 4-2-1. There's no way you couldn't. It's going to happen quite frequently. It's just a matter of, are you giving up more, losing? Are you giving that correlation up and gaining it in projected points and uniqueness compared to all the other teams? And that's a question you have to ask yourself. Congratulations on your bank, but like you could bank with a 2-1-1-1-1. You could bank with a team and captain. So it's not the end all be all banking, but yeah, a 4-2-1, you're not going to lose a ton. And I would just say, make sure that 1 is your team position.
Right. And I mean, the way I've been thinking about it, and it's the same logic we apply in any sport where you're stacking, is it's just another variable you have to be right about, because you're kind of having to thread a needle. You have to be right about 3 teams winning. And then you also need that third team that you're presumably using in the team slot to outscore one of the teams that you're using for the 3 or the 4, which is kind of like a hard needle to thread. And it just adds another thing you have to be right about.
Yeah, definitely. Because think about it. Let's say there's no correlation at all. Well, then you got to pick the best highest scorer at every position, essentially, right? And assuming, there's some you might miss on, but then you want to be the next highest to take down first. It's just that's where correlation comes in, is it kind of limits your choices in a good way. So like you only have to pick team X, Y, or Z, and then the combinations in between them. And if you get lucky, you should get as lucky as possible, as everyone is correlated and everyone pays off, as opposed to just the thousands and thousands of more combinations you're gonna have to go through to win when you're doing 1-1-1-1s. If that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that well, but
yeah. And I think Scott, what it looks like he's insinuating, he's saying, I feel 4-3 is optimal, but 4-2-1, to start getting unique. And I think kind of what Brian was just saying too, is that we might get to that point where you do need to start thinking outside the box. But I think what he's saying is we're just not quite there yet.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet. And I'm not convinced that 4-2-1 is the optimal way to get unique. Mm-hmm. It might be lower owned teams. It might be a whole bunch of different things you could do.
Here's a question, just as a game player. I know you're enjoying playing the format as it is. Would you like to see DraftKings go to a must-play 3-team format similar to FanDuel to kind of, shake up the strategy a bit?
Now, I'd rather keep it the same. I kind of wish they would have started from scratch with a different construction in general, like maybe with a captain and assistant captain. Like, because I'm all for increasing the pool size of players available, and anytime you do a captain, that basically doubles the field because you have let's say there's 70 players tonight. Now you have basically 140. It's a little bit less. I think the math actually works out to be a little bit less than that, but it doubles the field. So if you do another assistant captain, and this is assuming they assign them a new salary, a different salary than their normal classic salary, which FanDuel doesn't do. So I'm not talking about their model, but yeah. So if you added another slot, I would probably get rid of the team slot and add an assistant captain slot, and I think you'd have a ton less ties.
Yeah, I love that suggestion because the team, it is like, I've heard these guys, Brian, they come over from just playing NFL DFS and they're calling it the defense position. And it just like, it tilts me to no end, but I get it. I get it. And I do love the idea of this assistant captain, assistant to the regional captain, maybe something along those lines. All right, we have questions popping off. We're going to get to them, but I will say, guys, before the show, Brian DM'd me and he said, look, dude, I have my sexy hot ass pick of the night. And he said, I'm willing to release it, but I need 30 damn likes on this video. And I was like, really? You need 30 to release your sexy hot ass damn pick of the night? And Brian looked me straight in the eye over Twitter DM and said, yes, I do. So there you have it, guys. If you want the sexy hot ass pick of the night from Brian, Mr. Big Dick Brick, is that offer still on the table? I just got to make sure.
Yeah, on the table.
All right, so there you go. We're at 7 now, so if you guys want him to release that, we need 22 more at this time. Okay, I'm going to circle back to a couple other questions here. Peter Jaguars, do you think there's an opportunity to play cash games in LOL? If so, how do you approach them?
Yeah, I play all the cash games. And I was watching Saber Sim. They had an hour-long podcast on League of Legends, and their League of Legends expert guys said they don't play cash games, and I don't understand that. Like, if your model is accurate and you project better than your opponents, why wouldn't you play cash games? And maybe the reasoning is because I don't know, because it's so correlated. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what the reasoning is behind why they wouldn't play cash games. But I would totally play cash games, and especially right now, while there's so many people coming over. It reminds me of like 2008-ish poker, back in the poker days when Pot Limit Omaha started getting popular, and a lot of the No Limit Hold'em guys were coming over to Pot Limit Omaha. And they were just garbage, right? And they were just trying to learn the game, and they were playing the same stakes that they were playing at No Limit, which they shouldn't. And also Pat Limit almost swinging. I know this is an LOL show, but like, it kind of reminds me of that, where like you kind of want to get it in the ground floor, and cash games are. If players aren't good, you want to play cash games.
Yeah. Well, here I will play. I've been enjoying playing some cash games. I will pose it from a devil's advocate side of maybe why someone wouldn't want to play, and then let me know your thought process. Because I think cash game players in general, right? They want the highest. In general, it seems like they want the highest floor. And then depending if you're playing a double up or a cash game, across cash games, like access a ceiling has an advantage because you can win up to 100% of your head-to-heads, where the double up's more binary. I've been playing double ups. And it does seem like if it's optimal to stack 4-3, that you are at the mercy of your team winning. In cash yesterday, I had LNG. So my cash shit the bed. So I guess a cash game player might say like, hey, I'm just like flipping a coin. Whether this team wins or not is whether I have a good cash day. Whereas in other sports, I can have one guy blank, but the floor of my lineup can survive. So what would you say to that argument?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's a fair argument, and you might consider in cash games not going blanket 4-3s. I would still do the same thought process that I mentioned 10 minutes ago about you have to find out, is your drop in projected points from your non-correlated lineup that large compared to your correlated lineup? And if it is, then yeah, sure. I guess it makes sense to go with the less cashy one. But like double, I mean, it really depends. If you're playing like 2-man head-to-heads, 3-man, I should say, in head-to-heads, and maybe something under 10 amount of players in there, then yeah, it makes more sense to not correlate. But I still wouldn't specifically correlate. Like I would still just take the correlation, because a lot of times in cash games, people who have a lot of experience playing cash games know this. You basically just win or lose when you're playing double ups and triple ups in that form. You basically, like, let's say you bet $100, you basically either going to get like $5 back or like 190. You're either going to come close to double your money or probably losing it all. So like you want to win as many of those you can, and still, even with head to heads, why, when you win, you're going to be, and you're correlated, you're going to be taking down 75, 85% of those, as opposed to, non-correlated. You might lose less frequently, but you might not win as many as much money in the long run.
Yeah. And maybe that's like a different, like, cause again, I still see the merit, in cash games, but maybe for double up, it's like you're almost thinking of it more as like a modified GPP, where it is still kind of binary. I don't know. Let's move on here. Matt is asking, why are Korean teams so scared of team fighting? Matt is, of course, referencing the lower scores in the LCK versus the LPL, which is actually an interesting dynamic with the combined slates, because you'll often have favorites in the LCK, but their guys aren't quite as high scoring, which makes an interesting scenario. Whereas like today, we had 2 underdog LPL teams put up massive scores that didn't match, the LCK favorite scores. So what are your thoughts on how to handle LPL and LCK together?
Yeah, I mentioned this in the last time. I still don't think it matters. Their prices are generally less, and so you could roster them easier, in a more easy fashion. So like it doesn't matter to me, and I think it might be a little overblown. So like, for example, tonight I have the top 2 kills projected by team. I have them as the LPL teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, top 3, but the 4th and 5th teams are from the LCK. So they're they're lower, but they're still up in the top 6 of the night. And they're going to be cheaper price, maybe lesser owned.
Yeah. And I think the maybe where the disconnect is at here is, so, I think what Brian's saying is he's just trusting the math. He trusts the projections, and he knows that he's going to be getting those points per dollar in some capacity. And it doesn't necessarily matter where those are coming from. I can understand the psychology of, if you're hand building, you naturally are gravitating toward, hey, I want, LPL guys, but that might restrict your lineup in other areas, or the 3-man and the 4-man you can pair with them. Would you say that's maybe what's going on? Just kind of the psychology of hand building, wanting those LPL guys?
Yeah, definitely. And don't you think that's the same kind of psychology that's going on in football? Like there's a reason Pat Mahomes is more expensive, and Chiefs players in general.
Yeah.
Because they score a whole bunch of points.
Right.
So, it's like you can't, I mean, does that mean, like, if you call the Chiefs the LPL, does that mean you never roster, anyone from the Packers?
Right. Exactly. There's an opportunity cost. Sure. You could jam in Mahomes, Kelsey, and Tyreek Hill if you wanted to, but the rest of your lineup is going to be is squeezed. So yeah. I think that's definitely a good way to think about it. Greg pointed out that one individual did hit the dislike button.
Whoa.
Which I tried to move past it, but Greg did bring it up, and I'm shook, Brian.
Yeah, no, it hurts.
It really does. It's just like a toxic thing, and hopefully maybe it is in that thing we were discussing earlier, where it's kind of just like a good natured, like, hey, these are the non-toxic guys. It'd be so funny, LOL, if I dislike. We just got 2 dislikes.
You're right. Maybe talking about it is causing the dislike outburst.
Here's the rule, guys. this is the new rule. I said, per Brian, that he will release his sexy hot ass damn pick of the night if we hit 30 likes. That's a net 30, guys. So for every 2, we have to get to 32 now. You guys do some math there, because we will not let the toxic voices in this community coming from within our own chat tear us down. We will fight against it. And I demand you all to send this link to your friends. Ask them to like the video. Otherwise, Brian does not release his sexy hot ass damn pick of the night. Yep. Dude, I'm steamed right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry that this is happening.
Someone took away the dislike. I commend you, and that first individual who disliked it, I dare you to drag your ass back in here and unclick that. I dare you. Let's see. What said? Where's some questions here? Oh, Scott was asking, we can circle back to cash. Are you playing exclusively one lineup, or are you maybe playing more than one lineup in cash?
Exclusively one for me is my strategy pretty much all the time in all the sports.
Double ups and cash games.
Yeah, double ups, triple ups, head to heads, pretty much anything that's like top, like over top 30% payout.
Have you been running your cash in the Thunderdome?
Yeah, I have. And yeah, Thunderdome and the base destroyer or whatever the one below that is.
For people who haven't been seeing some of the teams that are running and so, or like, what is your state of the union of what's the ecosystem like at the nosebleed stakes right now for LOLz?
Yeah, it didn't run last night, I think, although it might have, but it was one of those nights where I did so bad I didn't even want to look, you know? And so I didn't look last night, and it changes with day to day with those guys. But here's the thing. I don't know if that will give us like a direct one-to-one correlation to the overall ecosystem, because those guys are real sharp. You know what I mean? They've been playing DFS for a living in multiple sports for many years, so they're going to adapt a lot quicker. And I still think that the field overall will still be weak for a while before then those guys will pick it up faster, unfortunately, for me.
One other housekeeping thing I wanted to let you guys know, you might have seen the QR code pop out there on the stream. We are now part of not only the visual community, but also the auditory community. We will now be digestible in podcast form. And I just posted the link to it there, redcircle.com/soz/LOLz podcast. It might take a couple days to pop up in your specific podcast feeds, but I'm going to post the RSS here. If you paste that RSS feed in whatever app you have, you will be able to subscribe and get the audio version, because trust me, I know how it goes. You're watching this show. The gold is coming at you faster than Faker racking it up on the screen, you know, and you can't digest it all. Sometimes you need to go back and replay it, and sometimes you can't do that at the computer, which means you need it via your podcast. There you go. Problem solved.
Right. Yep. I think hopefully it'll start working. We just uploaded it today, but it should be up there fast.
Yeah. You know, here's the haters will say, why did it take you 102 episodes to go to podcast form? And look, guys, we've just been crushing it so hard on YouTube. You remember my story last week, right? If it's not broken, I don't fix it.
Yes, exactly.
Go ahead.
Look what we got in the questions. Our first Counter-Strike Go question in 102 episodes.
Brian, I think we need to kind of wind this back, because we've been having some hard conversations behind the scenes about CSGO.
Okay.
I mean, look, I knew we said we weren't going to talk about this. It's been tough. I think we just need to do this on air, Brian. I mean,
all right, go for it.
I'll tell you, I've found the CSGO community to be, for a lack of a better word, incredibly toxic. I found their sport to be incredibly toxic. I find first-person shooter to be incredibly toxic. I find their scoring system to be toxic. These guys watch games for 12 hours a day and they still don't know if they won. It's just not a good situation. However, me saying that, I think might be toxic in itself. And you kind of helped me walk it back because I know you've been in those streets. So, Brian, as kind of the LOLz ambassador to the CSGO community,
Yeah.
speak on that.
Well, I think I agree with everything you said, unfortunately. But listen to this. Listen to this. I think you said it last week, right? Be the change that you want to see. So how can we change this toxic community without entering every single Counter-Strike Go lineup on DK every single day? That's been my strategy, is to just play a shit ton of DraftKings.
And I know, and like, this is hard for me to admit because I'm like a walk the walk and talk the talk guy, but I haven't been walking the non-toxic walk when it comes to CSGO, man. This shit tilts me, dude. I feel like they are, launching a global offensive on the LOL community, and that makes me feel nervous and vulnerable.
Yeah. I don't know if they know the LOL community even exists, but
God, they don't even. When is the last time they had just a random 2 a.m. $50,000 prize pool that was finalized mere seconds after the match end?
Good question.
Hold me back, Brian.
Yes, that is a good point. So today, for example, I entered their 11 o'clock slate, and they're still going. They're still fucking going, and apparently I have 2 games left in one of my lineups. So who knows when we'll see that money, if I win anything, because you can't really tell if you're winning.
I mean, look, I might be able to be convinced if they fix this scoring system and maybe cut the gameplay down 80%. However, short of that happening, I think I'm out, Brian.
Okay,
I'm out.
It seems pretty juicy to me. What's better if they won't change their toxicity, to take their money?
Okay.
Right, Peter? So there was the question was asked. Let me find it.
Yeah. It was 3-on-3 stacks, I think.
Yeah, 3x3s.
Yeah.
Who asked that? I can't find it. 3x3s. Yeah, so that's like what I try to mainly run. But the problem is like you can't fit them in. I don't know if it's a Counter-Strike pricing thing on DraftKings, but I'm sorry, you can fit them in, but you're going to be like 8,000 below the salary cap level, and I'm not 100% confident in my projections yet. So like, I don't feel good leaving that much on the table. Like, what is that? 20% of your salary. So I go down a notch too and do some 3-2s, and if I even have to, just some 3-0s. And I'm not really a fan of playing the other team either. So you have to set that up in your settings to accomplish that. It doesn't blanket automatically do it like it does in LOL. So I don't know. I think that gives my take as of April Fool's Day, 2020. That could change next LOL. So
yeah, I'm gonna try to be better. I'm gonna try to be a force for good. Speaking of force, Scott says, can we talk about Thursday night's top tourney on DK and its name, Forceful Blow? Come on, DK, be better. I could not agree more. It should be Gentle Blow. Everyone likes a gentle blow. No one wants a forceful blow. What are your thoughts, Brian?
It depends on the situation, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What would be the situation that you would like a forceful blow? I mean, I just have to follow up on that.
I don't know if you're hungover.
Okay.
Yeah. And you need that extra force.
Well said. Moving on. Let's see what we have here. Jake, you did pipe into this chat a little late. Thoughts on running 4-2-1s and the $10 forceful blow tonight? Actually, I don't know if that's the forceful blow.
Call them all the forceful blow. Why not?
I mean, imagine having to tell your loved ones why you can't hang out tonight. Well, I gotta jam in a bunch of entries into the forceful blow.
Yeah.
All right, honey. Have a great night.
But it's okay because I'm going to do 4-2-1s, honey. Jake, yeah, we did it. We did go over that earlier, but since you're my boy, I'm still not going there in a six game slate.
Yeah.
So, and I'm still not game stacking, even though that binked that the 100K over the weekend. I think there is some merit to it, especially on like the 2 or 3 gamers, maybe. But I'm not doing 4-2-1s yet. But listen, it's not the end of the world if you do 4-2-1s. Let me sum up, for Jake really quick. So like, as long as like the correlation you're giving up isn't that big. So like if you run 2 sims and like the difference in your projections is like large from a 4-3 to a 4-2-1, well then, yeah, okay, go with the 4-2-1. But if it's only a couple points here or there, I would just stick with the correlation. As long as you're adjusting for ownership. I know Jake does, so he should be fine.
Yeah. There was a comment I missed earlier from Carson. They asked, how many unique players per lineup are you using on a 6-game slate? I assume he's talking for MME.
Yeah. So, that is kind of like, it depends on how you're going about constructing your lineups. So if you're doing like a ton of randomness and uniques, are you going to edit and look through those later? Because if you don't, you're going to get a ton of weird, just random lineups that have nothing to do with the projections you're trying to use. And in theory, the projections you're trying to use is your bread and butter. Either you're paying for them, or you're making your own, and that's part of where you're getting your edge. So like, why throw it away, right? When you put in so much uniques and randomness, you're going to get a whole bunch of weird lineups in there that you shouldn't. But like, having said that, let's say like, okay, you do that and you sort through them. Yeah, that there's definitely some merit to it. It's just a matter of how you're going about your process. But I don't like just like 3 uniques, 80% randomness, 150 lineups, enter. Like, you're not, obviously anyone could bank with some weird lineup, but like, that's probably not going to win long term. I wouldn't do it.
Here's a question for you. This is just kind of a creative question I just thought of off the top of the dome. If you could go back in time, Brian, and tell the Brian who played LOL DFS for the very first time one thing, basically this is serving as a proxy answer for someone who's playing LOL for the first time, what would you tell them now with the hindsight of hundreds, if not thousands of slates under your belt?
I don't know. Let me think about that.
And it's you. It's saying,
I did exactly what I'm doing right now in my like second day.
Yeah, you haven't changed. Okay.
I mean, seriously,
that's a big dick brick answer. He just fell out of bed just doing the nuts,
No, okay. I think I'm less likely to use support in top in my lineups.
Okay.
But yeah.
Let's talk about that, because I think that's an interesting thing that people are discussing. I think, most people at this point realize ADC and mids score the highest on average of the other positions. And I know you're a big math guy. Sometimes the math might tell you, hey, a support or a top, or dare I say where my jungler's at, might be the optimal captain. How do you think about that as far as accessing a ceiling versus what the math is telling you?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the math tells you, is it's just kind of a give and take of ownership, projection, and your, like, whatever you want to call it, boom, ceiling, projection, where it's all of those things combined. And so I don't have a ton of data, but I have a pretty good set, and there is a big difference in the standard distribution amongst each position. And not surprisingly, team being like dramatically the lowest, which means they're really steady, but they do not get a ton of points, right? There's not like a huge deviation in points. So you're not going to have that 100-point team game basically ever, which is kind of what you need for the captain slot. But like, you could get like a 70 maybe, and that could do it. Like I said, I'm still sticking to it. A team slot's going to win one of these 100Ks, and then everyone's going to copy it for a month. So,
and it's going to be you that does it, right? No, Brick is not a do as I say, not as I do guy. He walks the walk. Yeah. I will say, let's little State of the Union on this episode. We are, well over 2/3 of the way. And I mentioned that Big Dick Brick will release his hot ass sexy damn play of the night if we reach net 30 likes. We are currently at net 25. I will make a slight addendum to this stipulation. Should the individual who made the toxic dislike unlike it, I will allow Brick to release the sexy hot ass damn pick of the night. Otherwise, we still need 5 likes, people. That's where it's at. And trust me, you do not want to go to bed without this guy giving you the nuts for the forceful blow. That's all I'll say.
Hopefully that happens.
Let's I'm going to guess that people want to talk about the slate tonight. Have you taken a look at all?
I did. Yeah, I popped in some projections before we hopped on.
And any initial kind of bird's eye view thoughts of how this slate is shaping up? We're coming off a weird one with a lot of underdog victories again.
Yeah, which normally would be right up my alley, but I needed J&G to pull it through last night, and they got stopped really quick. Back to that game last night. I don't know if people realized like how big of an upset that was. So they were 77% favorite, and they lost 2-0, right? So yeah, that's not a big deal. But in the second game, they got 0 kills. Not a goddamn kill, right? That's like, like a team being in the NFL, like whatever, an 8-point favorite, getting a field goal in the first quarter and shut out throughout the rest of the quarter. Like they didn't score, they didn't get a kill. I haven't seen that, right?
Wait, did you get up to watch the LNG tonight?
No, last night.
No, last night. Okay,
yeah. Or I guess it was this morning, but I didn't watch it. I woke up and looked at the score, and I saw they lost 2-0, and I'm like, yeah, well, let's see. Maybe my guys got some kills at least. They lost like 20 kills to 19 kills, 20 kills to 19 kills, but lost in overall 0 kills, unless there was a website error. But I don't think there was. So I don't know. Have you ever seen that?
No. I mean, imagine waking up and checking your lineup, your main cash game lineup, your main stack, and seeing negative points from my captain. I'll tell you when I would have been wishing I had an assistant captain this morning when I saw Iwandi's line in my initial captain slot.
I know. He was my highest owned guy. What do you have? -5.4 minus points. Minus. Let me list off the game 2 stats for LNG. 0 kills, 2 towers, 0 inhibitors, 0 barons, 0 dragons. They basically didn't even play.
It's really a travesty, and I've never been so tilted. Scott, I hate to correct you in the chat, but you remember the addendum. We have hit 30 likes, but it is a net 29 thanks to one toxic individual. So unless one of you guys is getting on your girl's burner YouTube account to like this video, I am going to withhold the pick for now. Jake, this is actually a great topic for us. We're League of Legends experts and we're Toxicity experts. There's been a lot of match fixing talk of late. I saw it on the weekend was it the LCS slate when they were jockeying for playoffs? There was talk of it being scripted, that the league writers wanted certain teams in there. This seed is now planted in everyone's head, a very toxic seed. Brian, do you think there could be more match fixing going on, or do you maintain the integrity of the sport we know and love so much?
I maintain the integrity, and I think I have logic behind my reasoning. So Faker just signed a $6.9 million modeling deal, right?
And let's not forget the ice cream deal too.
Oh, was it? Okay. And an ice cream deal. And he had a really informative interview that everyone should check out. So let's do the math here. So in order to like bribe Faker, right? He's given up 6.9 endorsements. He makes millions off of his team, right? And his career, his name, his dignity, all this stuff. How much you can't get that much money down in a bet. You know what I mean? That wouldn't like what book's going to take $100 million bet? Yeah, you could probably spread it around something, but it would take a massive undertaking to do this. Yeah, there's some guys who don't make that money, but you know what I mean? Like it takes quite a bit to fix the guys who make this much money.
I agree with everything you said, but I think you even missed the number one reason why he would never do it. It'd just be too on the nose to say Faker faked it. Just be too on the nose, man. It's an ironic name by Faker. His true name should be Integrity.
Okay. Maybe he should change it.
Yeah. You change it because people are faked out about it. I'll tell you that. Let's see. Man, this is crazy. We would have hit the 31 net 30 likes needed to release it, but a toxic individual emerged out of the woodwork for our second dislike, Brick. I'm sorry.
Artificially keeping it low.
They're keeping it low.
You know who that is? That's a Counter-Strike fan.
It is. They heard. Wait, could this be on me for blasphemy? Saying awful things about the CS:GO community.
No, someone assaulting you is not your fault, right? You're the victim.
Guys, the only thing I'm counter-striking back with is positivity. And I'm telling you that right now. All right, I can't have you release the sexy play.
Well, we got some more questions, so we could do those first and then.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, no.
Okay, we hit it. We just hit it. Net 30. The chat is going wild. They are losing their mind. I swear to God, if Brian starts giving out the sexy hot ass damn pick of the night and I see the net 30 go wrong, I will cut Brian off midday. I will not let him get that. So, we're dead. Okay, we are net 31. That gives us a little cushion, Brian.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
John Daigle comes in hot. John Daigle, my friend over at Roto World, messages me the other day, says he's getting in the LOLz streets. This community is growing, Brian.
Wow. Yeah, we got all the football guys coming in. I saw a bunch of b-ball guys. Jake's a hockey guy. They're all coming to the LOL streets.
Here's a thing for you guys. Like, as you guys can tell, Brian and I, we've been League of Legends fans all our lives, but we've kind of always been, we've done it from the quiet of our own homes. Like, we weren't wearing shirts. We weren't, doing elaborate lighting setups. I want you guys to send us tweets on Twitter at Brian Hooper _ at Peter Overzet. Let us see what you're doing to embrace your new gamer side. Okay. It could be LED lights. It could be novelty shirts from Amazon. Whatever it is, we want to know how you're embracing this new lifestyle. Brian, is there anything else that you've done lately to really lean into this?
I've tried to order a bunch of stuff on Amazon, but I don't want to clog up our, the infrastructure for much needed medical supplies. So I've kind of held off.
Yeah, I mean, that would just be an extremely tough scene if N95 masks weren't getting delivered because Brick75 needed his "Where's my jungler" shirt at.
Call Amazon. This is why I pay for Prime. I don't care about this goddamn medical masks.
Yeah, and I would just like to remind everyone who always asks me what my GPA is. Well, let me tell you, folks, my KDA is higher than my GPA, so suck it. Sorry, I didn't mean to say suck it. That was toxic. All right, yeah. Brian, we have entered the point of the show where, as promised, it's time for Brian's big, hot, sexy ass damn pick of the night. What do you got for us?
All right, well, let's start with the team first. Just overall team. I can't get away from Billy Gaming, just the whole squad, even accounting for ownership. So I think they're just significantly underpriced. And if you are looking at Vegas, that will tell you why they're the heaviest favorite. on the slate. And before we came live, I don't know if those odds changed. They changed quite a bit in the Chinese league. Um, and so my individual player will come from that, and I'm gonna go with.
Don't just say one that you can pronounce. I need you to be willing. I knew you're here. I'm taking Fofo off the table. I'm taking Fofo off the table.
Good, because I was going with ad.
Okay. All right. I wasn't sure what you're getting. Is it ad or is it ADD?
You know, I don't know. What do you, I mean, shouldn't being experts, shouldn't we know that?
Yeah. I mean, I just hope he doesn't have a rough season and come back as ADHD, you know?
Yeah, that would be rough.
Yeah.
Or minus subtraction.
He just comes. Maybe it's just like Prince when he was just the symbol, you know? Maybe he just comes back as a.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't have symbols. You know
Yeah.
what? How do they come up with some of these?
Scott is coming in hot in the chat with a definitive. It is ADD. So you just went all boomer with your pick there, Brick.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I changed my mind. He sucks.
He sucks.
And I'm going to go with Meteor.
There you go. Meteor. Sure would be nice to have one of those take out the earth right about now. Okay. Just kidding, guys. That was a toxic suggestion. Everything's going great. We are winding down. I will take a few more questions. I feel like you guys always ask Brian, the strategy questions, and
yeah,
it hurts my feelings because I know lots of cool stuff too, guys.
That's toxic in itself.
It is. Yeah. It's like, and I see people saying like big dick Brick, like, why can't you say like giant meter Peter or something, like just like I got a big hog too, guys. Like it'd be nice if you talked about my big hog sometimes.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
What do you think? What's your take on the Bales push-up challenge?
Ooh, this is fun. Yeah. So if you guys aren't aware, Jonathan Bales, a well-renowned DFS guy, tomorrow at around 11 a.m. Eastern is going to attempt to do 2,400 push-ups in 12 hours. So if you do the math on that, that's 3 1/3 push-ups a minute. It's been fascinating to see all the chatter on where people are at. It seems like people are either wildly confident he's going to crush the over, or there's people that are sure that it's near impossible. I am going to stop talking about this just to highlight Jake's new nickname. I will take Pristine Pecker Peter going forward. That is the winner. Big Dick Brick, Pristine Pecker Peter. All other submissions can be shut down. But yeah, Bales is a beast. He has dominated physical prop bets before. I think 2,400 in 12 hours is incredibly difficult. But Brian, there's lots of sharp people that are betting me over, and it does have me a little spooked. Where are you at?
That's what I was going to say. So I took the under immediately, and I booked a bet with Big T. And then everyone came out of the woodworks with the over, and quite a bit of sharps. They moved the bet online. It actually did make it on a sports book. Bet online has a line for it, and it started at, I think, plus 150, Peter, is that right? And now it was at minus 150 like 4 hours ago. I don't even know what it's at now.
Yeah. I think they took it off the board initially because it just got hammered.
Because it got hammered, and they were only taking like $50 bets on it too. So, and then Poker Shares had a line too, and that was like 3-1 or something it was for the under, which is enormous. So I didn't take any more action on it, even though I still was thinking about it. So I think I'm going to wait until maybe after this show. And a lot of those guys are starting to give out odds now on the under on Twitter, like plus 115 is the highest I've seen so far. Maybe if that gets up there a little higher, maybe I'll take another bite of the apple. Yeah.
And I do want to say, you guys might be wondering, why are, this is a DFS show. Why are you guys, talking about push-ups? And, I told Brian this, but it's because it's a really positive challenge. I would say if they were doing push downs, it's pretty negative, but they're doing push-ups, guys. And that's what we want to do. We want to push up the community. And that's what we do here on this show. Scott asked me a question, and I can answer this one. Scott did ask me, he says, my wife is so toxic about me being up so late waiting for lineups to lock. How do I overcome this? Here's the move, Scott. You go to bed, or tell me as I'm saying this what time zone you're in. But here's what I do. I go to bed around 10:30 or 11 p.m. Eastern, and I set my alarm for 2 a.m. I get up. I'm ready to watch the LOL slates. My wife is still, sound asleep. Here's how you do it. You watch the first set of games, and then you start making your wife breakfast. You make her a nice spread. We're talking sausage, maybe a little omelet, a little hash browns. Hell, maybe you whipped up some homemade muffins. I don't know. You put those on a nice little platter and you bring them upstairs. She has breakfast in bed. She is perfectly content. You go back down. You're watching your League of Legends lineups, and she just had breakfast in bed. It is a win-win. The only downside is you do need to go to bed at 4 p.m. Eastern to make this sustainable. However, that's my strategy. It looks like you're on Central Time, so adjust an hour or so as needed. Brian, Carson says he's seen plus 180 on the under now. Does that get your attention?
Yeah. Who, Carson?
Yeah. Release your sources, Carson.
It has to be like someone who's known in the DFS community, because I don't want to do this stupid escrow shit.
Yeah. Look at these nicknames coming. Everyone gets a nickname. Scott, we'll allow the self-appointed nickname Searing Sausage Scott. Beautiful on multiple levels. Everyone needs a nickname. Big Dick Brick, Pristine Pecker Peter, Searing Sausage Scott. You guys see the pattern. Make yourself
They all have to be positive.
They have to be.
No toxic nicknames.
No, Spectacular Sausage Scott. I like Searing Sausage Scott. It seems like the perfect guy to enter a forceful blow contest.
How about for Jake, Giant Jake Hari?
No, I got it. Jake the Jackhammer Hari. Oh my goodness. All right, we'll take one more question. We've released the nuts for the slate. This has been an incredibly phallic show.
Yeah. It hopefully that doesn't happen every time this way, but
yeah, I mean, we just go with the flow.
That's where the dislikes were coming from.
It was. Here's the thing though, guys, like you can't spell penis without positivity, and that's kind of what I've always said.
That's true.
It's very true. Guys, this has been a wonderful night. The LOL slates are coming fast and furious. And yeah, we appreciate all of you guys embracing your new inner gamer. As for Brian and I who have been here since the beginning, it's great to have you guys. I assume you echo those sentiments, Brian?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I do. And, before we go, how about we do a Marcos, wish this show was weekly. It is weekly.
It's been weekly, buddy. It's weekly. Every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Searing Sausage Scott time. Okay?
So we probably should give an update on our guesses, just for fun, on when sports will come back. So okay. I'm saying I haven't changed really. What's your take on it? And then maybe I can expand on it. What do you think?
So, give me a specific league or
the best I've seen is golf said the third week of May was probably like I think the only one I've seen besides some crazy Dana White stuff that like a sports team has actually come out with. I might have missed something, but yeah, that's all I've seen so far.
I mean, I don't have any new information other than just I feel like things continue to change so quickly, not to sober up so much, but I feel like we still haven't hit the worst of things as far as the tax on our hospitals and infrastructure. And I think that's going to further delay things. So I would be betting the over it happening by that date that golf suggested. What about you?
Yeah. I'm Maybe I'm a little more optimistic at this point, but like, and we talked about this last week, so we didn't rehash it. I do think golf should be the first one to come back. And what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought. Sorry, you could take it over from here.
Oh, no. Well, Scott asked if he had seen this. I guess there was an idea floating around about the league doing like teams and players in 2 specific cities, keep them in a bubble, I assume testing. You know, I guess my initial thought is like, I could see conceptually how that would work, but I just feel like logistically that still would just take a ton to pull off.
Yeah, I remember what I was going to say really quick. So like, all right, so if we're both saying over May, the 3rd week of May, so we're both saying June. So that's 2 months more of League of Legends basically only. I don't think the Rocket League's going to take off, and Counter-Strike, I bet it's going to get bigger. I bet they're going to have 100K soon for Counter-Strike. It seems like almost all the Counter-Strike games, though, are midday. So that's going to hurt them as far as trying to, build up a big, huge GPP.
Yeah.
So we got a couple more months of League of Legends coming here, I think. So those 2 cities travel on private planes just between. I mean, yeah, I guess like this is what I said about MMA last week is where I think MMA is more of a chance to come back than NBA because it's a complete turnover. The athletes are completely turned over the next week. The stadium's completely turned over. The city's completely turned over, or even country. So like I think the MMA should come back well before the NBA. So if they come back, then maybe the NBA could pull it off. But I think it'll be if testing, assuming they don't get like an antidote or some sort of easy, some sort of medical fix.
Yeah.
If they could get testing, really cheap and abundant, then they could just test, and maybe do some sort of NBA situation with just test them beforehand, play the game. Next day, test them beforehand, play the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope, it's tough. We're a LOLz show. We're enjoying this moment under the spotlight for the industry we love so much. On the other hand, we know how important the rest of the sports world is to our daily lives in this ecosystem that we swim in. But yeah, we're just going to make the most of it while we have it. I see some guys, very nice of you, wanting this show to be daily. All I'll say is this, subscribe to the channel. Check out that audio link. If you guys check our Twitter, we'll be posting that. If you want to subscribe to the audio version, tell people on Twitter to check the show out. I am sure Brian and I could be convinced to do it more if we continue to see all kinds of interests. Shout out to producer Taylor for on the screen getting our scrolling names up there. Pristine Pecker Peter, Jack the Jackhammer Hari. I'm sure if you come up with a name, Taylor will get it in the mix. Brian, any final words?
Yes, we have a special guest.
Oh yeah,
confirmed for next week, unless these are crazy times, so things could change. But next week we have Alex Baker, the man Osmo himself, will be joining us on LOLz.
He told us that on Wednesday nights, he's normally at 8 p.m. Eastern in the middle of a 12-hour LOL marathon, where he's a jungler and he just can't get out of that duty. But he said he'd make a special exception to come on the show. So we will have Mr. Osmo next week. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. And remember, take down that GPP, but more importantly, remove that toxicity. Scene.